Star Wars Episode 9 rumor teases connection between the Emperor and Snoke. Well, I mean, that's pretty progressive. Yeah, look, you gotta think about it. I mean, they do make quite the handsome couple. How's it going, everybody? This is Phil. Man, I know I haven't been around a while. I've been just kind of dealing with a whole bunch of stuff. My car has been giving me major issues, and I've had some engine problems and transmission problems, and it's really affected my ability to get videos out and just kind of communicate with the people here on my channel. So I do apologize for that. So I'm kind of reaching the end of this odyssey, and hopefully I can get back to posting with a little bit more frequency. So just hang in there with me for a little bit longer. Anyway, this is an article over on We Got This Covered. Your author is David Pountain, and this is another rumor as far as the rumor mill that keeps just churning out this nonsense with, Episode 9 and everything else that JJ Abrams is going to be incorporated into this movie. And, whether or not Snoke is going to be making a comeback or the Emperor is going to be involved. Is the Emperor going to be in it? Is the Emperor going to be a Sith ghost, which we've never seen before? Is Snoke actually Plagueis? I mean, it's just the rumors. That rumor mill is going to need to be completely dismantled and rebuilt once this is all said and done, because it's getting worked on overtime. So anyway, let's get cruising through this article, and because I got to get out of here. It's Thanksgiving, and I got some turkey to eat. So, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. So, says Snoke and Emperor Palpatine are a pair with obvious parallels, making it more surprising when the former didn't live to see the final installment in this current Star Wars sequel trilogy. Well, that's Rian Johnson and his subversive dick-headedness at its best. But despite his early demise, Andy Serkis's villain has remained a subject of ongoing hearsay and speculation. And the latest Star Wars Episode 9 rumor is no exception. It's something like a character like Snoke, who's supposedly so powerful with the Force or the dark side of the Force. And look, if he does have ties to Darth Plagueis, or he has power on that level, then you would assume that there's some type of way that he can defy death itself. So to bring him back, anything that's brought into this movie is kind of just a cheap trick at this point. I mean, it just feels that JJ is throwing any possible thing he can at this movie just to get it finished. I mean, as far as him not being a finisher is concerned, this must be like, for a franchise like Star Wars, after The Last Jedi, this has got to be like his worst nightmare come true, as far as a guy who kind of gets something started and then just like passes it off, and I'm sure that's what he thought he was doing in The Force Awakens. And, to have Bob Iger come back and be like, dude, we need you. Like, you got to come in here. There's no way we can finish this, and I don't trust anybody else. And he must be kicking himself in the ass for saying yes at this point. So, all right. Anyway, to provide a little context to this report, one thing we already know is that Snoke wore a ring made from obsidian found underneath Darth Vader's castle on Mustafar. What's more, it's been confirmed that the engravings on this accessory represent the four sages of Duarte. It's through this tidbit that we have one of the character's lesser-known connections with Palpatine, since the Emperor kept statues of these exact figures in his quarters during the Chancellor days. All of the above remains canon to the Star Wars saga, but where the rumors kick in is with the claim that JJ Abrams' next film will feature a scene, presumably a flashback, of course, where Snoke is witnessed sitting in a throne room surrounded by Palpatine's Duarte statues. This movie feels like it's going to be about 25% flashbacks, because he's just trying to fix everything and explain everything and, just get everything kind of lined up so he can close out the friggin' movie. The original trilogy, there was a little bit of exposition. They talked about, events prior, even in the prequels. No flashbacks. Now, I don't know if that's just a cheap fallback for a story writer because they can't make a strong enough story that progresses and moves forward without relying on some form of flashback exposition to kind of bring the audience along. I don't know why this was something that didn't rear its head until this sequel trilogy, but it seems to me like this whole movie is going to be, well, we'll have a conversation and then we'll flash back to this point, and then we'll pick things back up once the flashback is over, and then we get to another scene. It's like, oh well, let's talk about this. Do you remember that? And then they flash back there, and it just seems like there's going to be a flashback every 20 minutes, or a flash forward or a flash sideways. There's just going to be flashing going on all over this place. Somebody's going to have a seizure with all the flashing going on. It's just ridiculous where this movie finds itself. And look, I don't know. Could it work? Could these flashbacks work? Well, I think if episode 8 was set up properly, none of these flashbacks would be necessary at this point. It's really coming in and kind of cleaning everything up and trying to repair the damage that's been done. That's why you're left with all of these flashbacks, and that's why you have all of these characters and all of these planets and everything that's being brought in from the expanded universe and the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy and whatever video games and television shows. It's all to kind of almost create a smokescreen so JJ Abrams could say, look, he just drops it on the lap and says, I made a good Star Wars movie, can I go home now? That's I think that's all he's trying to get to at this point. So anyway, let's see here. While it's not unthinkable that Abrams will find ways to connect Snoke to the wider franchise, there's certainly reason to doubt his particular report. For one thing, you have to wonder if the filmmaker would really be willing to dig this deep into Star Wars mythology. Yes, get out your shovels. He's going to be digging as deep as he possibly can, right up into the ass of Star Wars. Dig deep, my friend. Star Wars mythology as a means of linking Snoke to his past equivalent. But more to the point, Episode 9, rumors related to Snoke and or flashbacks have become such a cliche by now, exactly, that this new claim very much gives off the vibe of a late arrival to the trend. All that being said, if the former Supreme Leader really is getting as much screen time as the rumor mill would have us think, then we'll find out when Star Wars Episode 9 hits theaters on December 20th, 2019. So, that's this rumor. Like I said, it's just I don't put anything past JJ at this point. I think he's desperate to have this movie garner as much goodwill as possible. So if he can link any of these sequel trilogy characters to any of the beloved, iconic, just well-received original George Lucas characters, he's going to do it. And, like I said, it's all a smokescreen. He's all trying to just get this done, make everybody go, aha, so he's tied into that character, and it almost saves it. It saves these characters by proxy to have somebody else linked to them in a better. That's why Rey's going to get some kind of, I'm sure she's going to get some type of lineage. Her parents aren't just going to be nobodies. These things are set up because link into the original trilogy just is good business for Star Wars. People want to link to the original trilogy that made everything great, and that's what JJ is trying to do here. Because that's where all of the goodwill is to be found. Okay, whenever anything gets released to this day that has any kind of a tie-in to the original trilogy, people just snatch it up. And to a lesser degree, it's becoming that way with the prequel trilogy. Time has allowed people to kind of, look back and forgive some of the mistakes that George Lucas made and pick out the best parts of it. I don't know if that's ever going to be something that happens with the sequel trilogy, but, the Lucas movies now have become kind of special with the Disney era movies and shows and everything else that they've done. It's kind of taken the brand down a step. So, anything that gets tied into the Lucas era, and look, the Clone Wars, Dave Filoni, he's somebody people hold in high regard because he worked arm in arm with George Lucas. So there's that to be said as well. Anyway, that's where we're at today with Star Wars and Episode 9 and Snoke. I don't know if it even makes sense to bring Snoke back at this point. He's dead. Kill the past, right? I mean, let him just stay dead. And there's so much else going on. Again, how long is this movie going to be? It's going to be like 17 hours long. I mean, my ass is going to be killing me sitting in that seat. I thought Titanic was like this epic thing that I had to sit through, or even Infinity Wars. I mean, at least Infinity Wars I found to be really enjoyable. This could end up being like Guantanamo level torture when this is all said and done, and the credits finally roll. I'll be willing to confess anything just to get me out of the theater. All right. Anyway, guys. That's all I got. Feel free to comment down below, like the video, all that nonsense. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving, and for anybody who's not here in the States, I hope you have a fantastic day. You need to get over here sometime and sit down and have a feast and break bread with us for Thanksgiving meal. It's you'll fall over by the time you're done eating. It's so much food. It's obnoxious. So anyway, guys, have a great day as always. Be happy, be safe, be healthy. Take care.